Okay, I told you guys I would finish going over the problems at the end of your practice sheet today, 8, 9, and 10. So let me pick up with 8. If you look at 8, it is the radicals that are messing us up, so we definitely want to be able to square. I don't want to square them when they're both on the same side like that, so I'm going to move the second one over so that I just have the radical 2x plus 6 on the left side. And then I'll have 1, plus radical x plus 4. And then when I go to square this, remember you're squaring the entire left and the entire right. So for the left, you're going to end up with just 2x plus 6. On the right side, I'm going to end up with, oops, there we go, 1 plus the square root of x plus 4 times 1 plus the square root of x plus 4. You cannot square those individually. So that gives me 1 plus 2 times the square root of x plus 4 plus, and then x plus 4. So that's what I'm going to want to put over here. When I put it over here, I am going to go ahead, and combine like terms. So with my 1 and my 4, so I have 5 plus x plus 2 radical x plus 4. I still have a radical, so I still want to try to get rid of it. So I'm going to move everything over to the left side. So I can subtract my 5 and subtract my x over. So I end up with x plus 1 equals 2 radical x plus 4. Now since the 2 is being multiplied, I can go ahead and square that side. I just can't square it if it's got the plus or minus because it's going to make it more complicated. But since it's being multiplied by the radical, that's okay. So I'm going to square both sides. I'm going to go over here because I kind of ran out of room. X plus 1 squared is x squared plus 2x plus 1. This is going to be 4 times x plus 4 for the right side. So I have x squared plus 2x plus 1 equals 4x plus 16. Since this is a quadratic now, I want to get everything on the same side so that it says equals 0. So that's x squared minus 2x minus 15. And I'm going to see if that factors, and it does. Numbers that multiply to give me negative 15, but add to negative 2 would be negative 5 and positive 3. Setting each of those equal to 0 is going to give me x equals 5. Over here, I'm going to get x equals negative 3. If I plug those back in, the negative 3 actually isn't going to work. I kind of am out of room over here, but that one doesn't work. So I'm just left with x equals 5. Make sure, again, anytime you have a radical like that, or absolute value here maybe, or fractions, you're taking the time to plug stuff back in. On the second one, number 9 rather, this is x plus 1 to the 2/3. Just like if you have something being squared, you would do the square root because that undoes it. You can do the square root to undo the 2 and cubing it to do the 3, and just a little explanation on that. Square rooting something, the square root of x, is the same as doing x to the 1/2. So right here, you're really saying x squared to the 1/2. And remember, you multiply your exponents, so that really just turns into x to the 1. Okay, sorry for that glitch. I hit something on the computer and it paused it and restarted it. So hopefully that made sense. So over here, you can either decide to do the square root first or to cube it first. I would probably cube everything. So now I'm going to have, cube the right side as well. X plus 1 being squared equals 64. And that got rid of the 3's. Now I need to do the square root of both sides. When I do that, I'm going to get x plus 1 equals plus or minus 8. So make sure you are addressing that you do have two different answers there. When you subtract your 1 over, if I do 8 minus 1, that gives me 7. If I do negative 8 minus 1, that gives me negative 9. Sorry about that. Make sure you substitute both of those answers back in. They do both work. So they both give me the correct answer. On the last one, number 10, we are trying to deal with our absolute value. Remember that if you said the absolute value of 7, that would equal 7. And also the absolute value of negative 7 would also equal 7. So I'm going to get the same answer, but I could either have a positive or a negative inside here. So I'm going to have two equations. X squared minus 3x equals negative 4x plus 6. So this is where this does equal the exact same thing as this. My second equation is going to be where I still have the same thing on the left side, because I'm saying whatever's inside could equal a negative of that right side. So what's inside could have been positive or could have been negative. So here was my positive, because that's what the problem was. Here's my negative. I'm going to want to solve each of these. So they look like quadratics. I'm going to get everything on the same side. So x squared plus x minus 6 equals 0. That's going to factor into x plus 3 and x minus 2. So I have x equals negative 3 and x equals 2. For the second equation that I had to set up, make sure you distribute your negative first. So you end up with a positive 4x and a negative 6, and then subtract everything over. So that's x squared minus 7x plus 6. When I factor that, x minus 1 and x minus 6 equals 0. So I have x equals 1 and x equals 6. Do plug these back in and check. So when I plug in a negative 3, that one works. They're both equal. If I plug in a 2, those aren't equal. Plugging in a 1 is equal, so I'm good there. Let me go ahead and block those answers off. And then if I plug in a 6, that one doesn't work either. So I just got two answers. Always check your answers. If you still have any questions on any of these or anything else from P4, any of those solving equations, please make sure and see me, because we're going to have a little quiz on it very soon. Be ready for your pretest tomorrow for Chapter P. There's not really anything you need to do. Just know that you might want your calculator. And make sure you get all your P4 problems done tonight.